It's time to work all your joints. We'll do 2 sets of rotations for each joint or joint pair, starting from the feet and working our way up. So, let's start with the ankles. Hands on your belly, shift your weight to one side, pick up the unweighted leg and start rotating your foot clockwise. Try to make it as circular as you can. We'll do 9 rotations and then change directions and do 9 rotations anti-clockwise. Optional, bend and stretch your toes to loosen up the bones in the feet. Do the same on the opposite side, 9 rotations clockwise, 9 rotations anti-clockwise, bending and stretching your toes at the same time. Now the next variation for the ankles can be quite strong, so be mindful. Squatting down but staying on your toes, do vertical circles with your heels. You can rest your elbows on your legs. Looking at your fingers can help in tracing the circles, or you can place your fingers on the ground to help with your balance. And you do 9 circles one way and 9 the other way. Next, the knees. Bring them together and just rub them in a circular fashion one way 9 times, then change directions. Using your hands to support them, do 9 horizontal circles clockwise and anti-clockwise. Be mindful not to exert too much pressure on your knees when circling forward and sideways. And the smoothness or lack of smoothness is a reflection of the mobility and flexibility of your knee joint and the surrounding connective tissues, just like in the ankles. Now place your hands on your hips and we do simple horizontal hip rotations 9 times both ways. The key here is to keep your head as still as possible. It can help to find a focal point in front of you to gaze upon. Exploring the outer circles of your hip mobility one way and then the other way. Observing, where does it feel smooth, where does it not feel smooth. You're not just lubricating the hip joints here, but also activating the belt meridian. So, next, place your hands back on your belly and we'll do hip rotations balancing on one leg, drawing big circles with the knee, bringing the knee up, back and down. 9 times one way and change directions. As before, find a focal point in front of you to help you balance, or just support yourself against a nearby wall. Shift to the other leg and do 9 rotations one way. Bringing the knee up, back and down. Up, back and down. Then change directions, back, up and down. If you notice that one side is less mobile than the other, you can increase the number of rotations on that side. Take a slightly wider stance now as we move on to stretching the spine, starting with a small, gentle forward bend. Lean to the side, do a gentle back bend, lean to the other side, and repeat. Forward, side, back, and side. Keep your legs and hips stable and keep the bending of your spine small for now. It's more important to feel a continuous stretch throughout the spine rather than a big stretch in one area of the spine. And the small movement is what allows this to happen. Try to feel the lengthening in your whole spine that begins at the base of your tailbone and stretches all the way to the top of your head throughout each rotation. Feeling this stretch when you're leaning forward, to the side, to the back, and to the other side. Changing directions. So each time you go to one of these 4 points, you stretch from the bottom of the spine to the top. So you basically have 4 stretches per rotation. And the stretch should be felt on all 4 sides of the spine, whether you are bending forward, to the side, to the back, or to the other side. If you can get this continuous movement from the bottom to the top, then even feeling the minutest of stretches, as long as it's continuous throughout, is great. Don't worry about the external size of the rotations, as 9 rotations both way can be quite full on when you're really getting this. So stay gentle and relaxed. That's the way. The second set of spine rotations involves the arms. Extending one arm out, turn the palm up with the thumb pointing behind you, then circle the hand above your head and back. Repeat with the other arm, always keeping the palm facing up. Then add a lean to the opposite side to the active arm. So leaning the other way and hand up and down. Then add a little back bend when your hand comes above your head. Repeating on the other side. So circling, spiraling the hands one way, then the other 9 times. When your hand comes back to your hip, lean slightly to the opposite side before coming back to an upright position. This is the full expression of the movement. And again, same applies as previously. Try to feel the whole spine stretching at the same time. Here you're also stretching the sides, your ribs, your chest. And when you've done your 9 rotations to each direction, come back to a neutral stance. And let's do some simple shoulder rolls next. Rotate your shoulders forward and up. Roll them back and down slowly. Repeating 8 more times. Shoulders forward and up. And back and down. Adding the breath. Inhale forward and up. Long exhale, back and down. Optional, you can exhale through your mouth for a bigger release, making a wave-like sound. So inhale forward and up, and exhale back and down. When you're at the top of the circle next, hold the shoulders there for a moment, just a micro pause, and also pause slightly at the bottom. During these slight pauses, you can hold your breath, or if you can, make it as thin as a trickle. A few more times, forward and up, and back and down. Really feeling the shoulders at work here. So then coming back to neutral position, and we roll the shoulders forward, but in tiny, tiny circles. This circle then spirals out slowly and increases to the largest size rotation that you can do in about 9 goes. So starting from stillness to the largest rotation in about 9 goes. Then slowly decrease the size of the rotation until your shoulders come to stillness. And from here, change directions, doing the smallest of circles the other way, working your way to the largest rotation range. And spiraling it smaller again. Coming into stillness. Let's move on to rotating the elbows. So bend your arms, palms facing up. Circle the hands back, then out, and back to the starting position. Hands back, out, and starting position. Focus on the elbows leading the movement, not the hands, as your elbows are doing horizontal circles. When you've done your 9 rotations, come back to the starting position and we'll change directions. Circle the arms forward, out to the sides and back in. Doing horizontal circles with the elbows and the hands follow. Forward and out, back and in. For the second set of elbow rotations, have your palms facing each other. This time draw vertical circles with your elbows, but keep your fingers as still as possible. You might find it easier in the beginning to actually touch a wall with your fingertips, so they stay relatively still. 9 one way and the other way. You'll definitely find that there is a sticky point in the rotations when you're doing this. Don't worry, over time that will smoothen out. And once it does, your elbow will be nice and mobile. Moving on to the wrists now. Hands in prayer position, keeping the palms together. Do half circles, pointing the fingers towards your chest and away from you. So, exploring the full range of your wrist rotations. Try to keep the forearms parallel to the ground as you do this. 9 times back and forth. And then point your fingers down so that the back of the hands are touching each other. And you do 9 half circles here. Away from you, towards your chest, away from you and towards your chest. When you've done your 9, bring your hands back to prayer position and this time interlace your fingers. And we do 9 rotations one way and 9 rotations the other way. Try to also have the forearms and elbows together if possible. When you've done your wrist rotations, come back to a neutral stance, or Wu-Ji. Now we move on to the rotations of the neck and the head. Similar to with the shoulders, we start doing small circles with our head, so that the top of the head is like drawing a circle in the sky. Let the rotations increase gradually until you are at the maximum range. But don't force it. The neck is a gentle, a delicate thing, so keep it gentle. Similar to the spine rotations, try to feel a continuous and even stretch occurring from the base of your neck, or C7 vertebrae, to the base of your skull, or occiput. As you're rotating your head one way, and you also decrease the size of the rotations until you come to a complete stop. Then you change the direction, repeating the process, spiraling out, rotating the head the other way, gradually making the motions bigger. Exploring the full range of your neck mobility. But not forcing anything. Then reducing the circles. Gradually bringing your head back to stillness. The next set of rotations for the neck is like tracing an infinity symbol in front of you with your third eye. Start at the center and look to the top corner, then to the side, the bottom corner, opposite top corner, the other side, the bottom corner, and back to neutral position, which is important to always come back to, so your infinity sign stays as balanced as possible. So doing this, drawing an infinity with your third eye 9 times. No need to worry about changing directions with this one. But from neutral position you start by going upward. And like all the other rotations, especially the head rotations, make sure you keep it gentle. And finally, when you've done your 9 infinity signs, we do the rotations for the jaw. Circling the jaw clockwise 9 times. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then anti-clockwise 9 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then do another set of rotations with the jaw, this time moving in a vertical forward rolling circle. So your jaw goes forward, down, back, and up. 9 of those, then reverse the direction. The jaw is a very important joint to release, as energy often gets stuck there. So it's good to be aware of how your jaw is doing. When you've done this, for a moment, just close your eyes and focus on all the joints in your body. Try to feel them simultaneously. Perhaps you can group them in pairs together to help you focus on them. Try to take notice of internal sensations if there are any imbalances or maybe even some spontaneous movement. The 10th exercise of Joint Longevity Qigong, which involves the whole body and a concept called wrapping, which is when the back of the body curves or wraps around to the front. With your lower body, try to get a sense of your ankles, knees, and hips rotating horizontally from your back to the front, ever so slightly, almost invisibly. The upper body wrapping is led by the spreading out of the shoulder blades, which lead the motion of the arms. As you draw the shoulder blades back in, the palms face forward, and as you spread the shoulder blades out, the palms face either behind you or away to the sides. So the arms and hands stay fairly inactive apart from the spiral-like twisting that is initiated from the shoulders and ends at the fingertips. And you're trying to get the motion in the joints of the legs, the ankles, knees and hips to mimic the shoulder blades. It's not necessarily easy, but with practice it becomes more obvious and stronger. For those familiar with the qua, you can hollow it together with the shoulder cavity as you wrap out. You might find the wrapping out feels like a stretch, and wrapping in is like a release. When you're comfortable with this, add the bending of the spine, which I'll show you from a side angle here. The spine bends in such a way that the center of the bend is around the solar plexus height, and you feel a vertical stretch going from the center to the top and the bottom of the spine equally. Do not collapse your chin against your chest at any point to keep the neck stretching engaged. The spine bend can be fairly big or small. It's up to you how you feel. As you are doing the wrapping, also bend your knees a little, and at your hips do a little squat to enhance the motion. So look at the front view again, at the full expression of the wrapping with the spine bend. Try to feel all your joints at the same time as you're doing this. The number of repetitions is up to you. Start slow and keep the movements small to begin with also. Here my movements are fairly large. When you are done, bring your hands back to your belly. Close your eyes and feel your joints all at the same time. Your ankles, knees, hips, spine, shoulders, elbows, wrists, neck and jaw. Have the awareness of them being all connected. Do this for a moment before finally focusing your energy back to your belly.